Hello, alchemists. We are about to experience the transit of Uranus going into the sign of Gemini. This has not happened for the last 84 years fully. We had a small glimpse of Uranus in Gemini last year, but then it retrograded back into Taurus, and now this year, tomorrow, is going fully into Gemini for the next 7 years. Not only this, but Uranus is the planet that rules Aquarius, and Pluto, which is the farthest out planet in the solar system, is recently entered Aquarius, November of 2024, and this year also Neptune, the other transpersonal planet, entered the sign of Aries along with Saturn. So yes, we haven't lived a transit of Uranus in Gemini for the last 84 years. However, we have not lived a transit of Uranus in Gemini with Pluto in Aquarius, Neptune, Saturn in Aries for hundreds of years. So what we're living in this moment is historical. And the transits that we are having this year have not happened for thousands of years. For example, the transit we had on February 20th, the conjunction of Saturn and Neptune at 0 degrees of Aries had not happened for the last 6,000 years. So as humanity, as a collective, we're living extraordinary times, and this is the transit that completes this transition of the transpersonal planets going into masculine signs, as Pluto in Aquarius, Uranus in Gemini are in air signs, and Neptune in Aries is in a fire sign. So Uranus in Gemini is going to be expanded into a much easier flow for this energy to be established in the collective, because for the last 7 years since 2018, Uranus was in Taurus. And Uranus in Taurus is not very comfortable, because Uranus represents freedom, represents air, mind, quickness. It goes wherever it wants without needing so much structure or so much time. But Taurus is an earth sign, and it needs structure, it needs to create, it needs time for things to grow. So Uranus was very uncomfortable there, and it had to come and revolutionize, different aspects of that have been established in the collective for hundreds of years. And we've seen all this revolution that has happened with the collective systems regarding how we work, how we plant and grow food, how technologies are helping humanity or not helping also, how the currency, the economic system also is going through great shifts with digitalization of currencies and all these things. All of this is the influence of Uranus in Taurus. But now that Uranus goes into Gemini, Gemini is an air sign ruled by Mercury, and Mercury rules our mind, our thinking process, our communication, information, all these things that are tied to the element of air. And Uranus is the god of the sky, is the god that represents the bringer of the truth. Aquarius is the water bearer that is like bringing this cosmic information to the human life. So with Uranus and Gemini, we can expect a lot of new information coming from many different directions, and we have to apply our discernment to align ourselves to what's true, because Gemini is a dual sign, and it can bring truth, but it can also bring deception. It can bring the polarities of life into one, and this transit is also going to make us see the paradox of life, that there can be two opposite things being true at once. So I feel like Uranus in Gemini is going to blow our minds, is going to open our perspective to many different things, and certainly a lot of people who may be polarized to the Saturnian energy or the Capricornian energy, that is like this like very established structures and very like following rules and following what I should do and following the authorities and all these things that the system has created for humans to be slaved in a way. It's going to be harder for these people to open up to the new and open up to everything that is going to come in the next 7 years at least. So we're at the verge of a lot of transformation, and let's remember that because Pluto is in Aquarius, ruled by Uranus, this is creating a lot of transformation in the collective, and clearly for all of this to happen, there needs to be a lot of shadow coming out, and this is what we've been seeing with everything that is happening in the world, which I don't even have to mention all these things that are happening because we probably already know. Now, it is also very interesting how the cosmos gives us these like beautiful messages in how astrologically things are happening, because Pluto in Aquarius is now going to do a trine with Uranus in Gemini, which it has been doing a trine, but now that Gemini is an air sign and Uranus is going to enter there, it's going to be an air trine between Pluto and Uranus, which expands and makes that energy flow easier. But not only that, Pluto and Uranus are also forming a sextile to Saturn and Neptune in Aries. So this is a very beautiful cosmic assistance of energy that we're receiving in these times for the evolution of humanity. And of course, it will all depend on how we are acting individually, impacting the whole, and then how as a collective we are co-creating reality here on the planet Earth. So there are many themes that Uranus and Gemini will bring forth, and I want to talk about some of them. Uranus is the planet of awakening, and because Gemini is an air mind focused sign, I feel like it's going to bring this awakening of our consciousness, awakening of aspects of ourselves also that may have been in the shadow and now are going to come more into the light. So anything that we have projected outward is now going to be brought into us as an experience for us to identify and to see that that is also an aspect that lies within ourselves. I feel like this universal hermetic law of as above, so below, as within, so without, is going to take a lot of strength with Uranus and Gemini. There's going to be a massive awakening of spiritual awakening of our consciousness, and also the fact that we're going to experience the awakening of extrasensorial gifts that have been dormant in our DNA. And Uranus and Gemini is going to awaken a lot of these aspects in our DNA. Astrology is one of these sciences that is going to take a lot of strength with Uranus and Gemini. Uranus is the ruler of astrology, also Aquarius, and I feel like astrology is going to go through a shift, also taking into account a lot of other celestial bodies that are usually not taken into account, to bring much more depth in the information that we have, as well as there's going to be a lot of information about the cosmos and our place in the cosmos and our brothers and sisters of other galaxies, of other solar systems and other star systems. That's definitely going to be brought into collective awareness. There is going to be obviously a rise, as we're seeing, in artificial intelligence, and unfortunately I don't think that's something that can be stopped at this point. However, it is important that we take a lot of account into creating balance with the fire signs, because Gemini is complementary sign to Sagittarius, and Aquarius is complementary sign to Leo, the fire sign, the energy that brings us to the heart, to the warmth, to the intuition. And that's the way that we can essentially discern all the information that is going to be coming at us and all the new technologies that is going to come at us. So there's going to be a revolution in the education system, in the workforce system, in the medicine modalities. So one thing that I'm very excited about is sound and frequency, because sound is air by excellence, and we know how scientifically it is now being studied and proven how different frequencies have the ability to heal specific disease and even reduce and dissolve tumor, for example, in the body. So there's definitely a lot of that coming forth. Definitely sound is the medicine of the future, and that future is now. There's definitely a lot of this need for freedom in the collective with Uranus and Gemini. So freeing ourselves from belief systems, from limitations, from things that we have believed that are no longer serving humanity. Neptune in Aries is also bringing this like self-mastery energy and not falling into deception and seeing what for the last 2,000 years we have believed that maybe it's not exactly like that. So Uranus and Gemini is going to strengthen all of these things. There's going to be a lot of renewable energies, a lot of new communities forming in the collective that are going to create this sort of like sectors in the beginning, like by frequency. So people joining together for a cause or something that they feel in tune with on a frequency level, and slowly creating this like networks of communities throughout the globe. So there's massive awakening, and I'm very excited about this. So every energy has its light and its shadow, and Pluto in Aquarius and now Gemini, Uranus and Gemini, the light of all of this is the freedom of humanity and being able to be who we are authentically and in freedom. However, the shadow of all of this can also be disconnecting from the heart, going too much into the mind and too much into the higher aspects of reality without taking account into what we value here and now, taking care of the planet, taking care of our bodies, and connecting with the present moment. So being aware of not going fully into this like mind, artificial intelligence, social media, internet, all these things, because that can be very disconnecting, and it can make our brain fall into very different patterns than what our essence is really here for. So so bringing the balance is definitely important at all times, and I hope that this information helps. Check your charts where this transit is going to be falling into, because that house that Uranus is going to activate is going to represent a lot of revolution, a lot of change and freedom into your life. There can be like this like sudden changes into new timelines and new frequencies. So let's prepare ourselves doing the inner work, connecting to our bodies, being present, so that we can channel this beautiful air energy from a space of centeredness and heart.